Hi, I'm Chêrénique with TensorWave, and I am here hosting the Imagine AI podcast at the Imagine AI Live conference. We have been talking to a lot of amazing and interesting guests, and I have another one with me right now. This is Dustin.
Hi.
Hi, Dustin. Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
being here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do with AI?
Yeah, awesome. So I've been in AI since about June of last year. When I first got into it, I'm a photographer and a filmmaker by trade traditionally,
Yeah.
the old school way. And, originally I kind of started, I was like a lot of artists that were trying to change their minds, about AI. And I kind of was apprehensive to it at first.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm pretty busy because I have a media brand as well, and it was about like balancing efficiency and time. And I kind of bit the bullet and was like, okay, well, I want to try this out and see if it kind of helps me with my workflow for planning shoots, things like that, right? And I started with Stable Diffusion, so
Yeah.
I kind of went the like super hard route to work backwards. I kind of like doing the hard thing first, and then everything after that seems much easier to kind of, understand and work through. So I started messing with that, and I just fell down the rabbit hole like most people.
Yeah.
I started with images originally, and I did that for a couple months, and I really loved it. And I was kind of scared to get into video just because of it being like a behemoth. It's so different, the dynamics, video versus imagery.
Yeah.
Like I do photographs a lot still too, but really my passion is in filmmaking with AI and just like really taking that to, wherever we can.
Yeah.
Really.
And it seems like it can be a little bit uncommon to hear of artists and creators diving into AI and incorporating that into their craft. So what do you think made you open-minded to that opportunity?
I'm not even sure if I have an answer, to be honest. I think it was intrigue. And I kind of just wanted to, I've been in a lot of different industries, fashion, music, and I've worked my way to the top of those. And, learning along that path of like what to do, what not to do, what works and what doesn't work, there's always an underlying current of, you don't want to get left behind or fall victim to realizing something too late that you should have paid attention to more, that would either help you or progress you in your career faster or more efficiently. And I think a lot of artists are victim to that, and I kind of realized that early on, so I feel a little lucky that I had that realization. So now, since being in those industries, I really pay attention to what everyone else is paying attention to and doing as far as like tools and, where technology is going to take us. It's interesting because technology, even in the art world, a lot of people probably won't admit this, but it runs everything we do. I mean, if you look at photographers, pretty much we're all moving into mirrorless, or have for many years now. Digital illustrators are working on iPads with digital pens now. Everything is digitized, which I think is really interesting, because I think one of the key factors for a lot of us in the Gen art world are thinking like, how do we bring more people into our world? And I don't really maybe want to like coerce them to accept AI. I just really want them to realize that this is a powerful tool that doesn't have to be a solo use. Like, you don't have to just produce everything in AI. You can use it to offset like what you're already currently doing in your own workflows.
Yeah, awesome. So give us a little insight maybe into your process. How do you decide what video you want to make, and then how do you start that process? Because prompting can be just a behemoth.
Yeah.
Yes, daunting.
Yeah, very daunting. I still feel daunted every time I try to make something, even if it's like a 2-minute film or 1 minute, really. So I think like I love storytelling. Really, my whole thing is from the beginning. When I got into photography as a music photographer, I was in EDM mostly. I worked for a lot of festivals as well over the years, but one of the things that I really love about music is the emotional connection, because it's really everything, right? I mean, yeah, you want a good tune. Right?
Yeah, you want a bop.
You want a bop, but really it's about an emotional connection that you feel with the tempo and the verbiage and everything else that is all melded together, right? So for me, like, storytelling is just another aspect of that, but visual. When I used to shoot music, I really approached it like, I don't want to just take a photo. I really want to make a piece of imagery that speaks to someone when they see it. They could almost feel like what the energy must have been in that moment, right?
Yes.
So I used to use a lot of like slow exposure or double exposure and do everything in the camera. I even used to shoot with film, which everyone called me crazy for. But yeah, it was really just about like presenting things in a way that could capture more of a sense of intrigue from the viewer. And I took that kind of thinking into AI like almost immediately. When I first started with images, I really wanted to try and push the envelope with seeing how creatively crazy you could get doing fashion editorials.
Yeah.
And the answer was unlimited. There was no limit, I found.
Yeah.
Other than like, you know, restrictions on like the type of images you could do, really,
Well,
which
yeah.
is pretty normal. When I moved into video, that is one of the reasons I kind of felt daunted a little bit, because traditionally, you know, there's an entire laid out, very, you know, put together process about how you go from A to Z, right?
Yes.
So really, you know, you come up with your premise, you are basically writing out all your script, your characters, you do backstory, all that stuff. So I kind of was like, well, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so I'll start with that. I've had like crazy amounts of stories that I've wanted to tell, but I never really got super crazy, you know, with filmmaking traditionally, because it's very convoluted as far as how you get to the point where you can actually make films, right? And
Yes.
granted, yes, anyone can make a film as an amateur artist, but really, like, I don't want to just make films. I wanted to make films and people be able to see them, like a lot of people.
Yes.
So to do that, there's a very long process where, you know, you've got to know people in Hollywood, you've got to play the game, and you got to go down the road. And I mean, I've been being mentored by someone in Hollywood, and it's been a godsend because I didn't know even close to half of the things that I know now. But it's been great too, because he's really like talked to me about how I open up my storytelling and how I kind of present ideas and things like that to people. And I think that's actually my favorite thing that AI is able to do now, because I really love to say that it's democratized like being an artist, because now you can literally do everything yourself. And
Yeah.
if you've got a following, you don't need Hollywood. You don't need anybody, to be honest.
Yep.
And that's an exhilarating feeling. It's like ultimate free,
Yeah.
you know?
On that note, are there any big projects or things you're working on right now that you can tell us about?
Yes. So I'm working on a film. I submitted to, so back in January, Runway, great company. I use them. I'm part of their creator program. And I wasn't back then, but I am now. And I was approached by Nicholas, who is an avid part of Runway and presents a lot of stuff for them. And he had seen something I had made just for myself randomly, and it was a film called Ecliptic, and it was I'm diehard sci-fi, Star Wars obsessed person. I would live in Star Wars if I could. So I put that out, and he had seen it miraculously, randomly, I think, because we didn't follow each other. And he had reached out to me in DMs and was like, "Have you heard of Runway? You should put this in it, or you should make something for it." And I was like, "That's awesome. We'll look into this." So I signed up. I got into it. I presented the film. I unfortunately didn't make the voting, but that's okay, because honestly, failure and you know, going through those strides is part of learning, and this is an entirely new process. So for me, it was kind of awesome to just get to be in something like that. And so afterwards, I was really impressed by all of the other artists that I saw. So that made me, and then just, you know, becoming part of this community and seeing like where we are currently, and then knowing like what skill set I had to contribute to our growing industry and inspiring people. I really love teaching people too, like younger amateur artists. I mentor people sometimes. And I wanted to push the envelope. And the best way I could think of doing that was to make something so crazy that people were just like mind blown by it. And the only thing that I could think of was to try to create a full length film in AI, 100% AI, that is, you know, all done by one person. So that's what I'm doing, and it's almost finished. I can't give you a date when it'll be released. I actually wanted to release it today, but I still have some more to do on it because I've been pulled off of it for other things. But it's gonna come soon. I have a running time. It's gonna be 50 minutes.
Wow.
It's going to have over 2,000 clips in it. I was doing a count before this. I was like looking at it. It's pretty epic. I really hope that it inspires people to not wait around for tech like Sora when you could be creating right now and really like diving in and learning, becoming familiar, developing your own storylines. Like one of the things that I've done is I'm not going to wait for Sora, but there's some things that I want to do in the future that would need Sora if we're actually going to get the version that everyone hopes that we do, which I don't think that we will, but any version of it will be great to offset what we currently have as tools.
Yeah.
More tools, the better, in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm working on.
And can you give us the title or anything about it?
It's called The Last Artist, and the premise of it is about this guy who, it's 150 years in the future, and instead of being doom and gloom, I kind of wanted to take it to the opposite and be kind of like, you know, inspire fulfillment. And the idea behind it was humans no longer have to work. AI has basically taken all of that off our plate, which is what humans have been preaching they wanted forever.
Yes.
And we've somehow made it work, right? There's not a monetary system, but there is if you want to have more, but resources in the universe are kind of like all given now, it's abundant. So in that day and age, you know, people don't spend as much time on labor-inducive things, and today, in this time, we do, and we see a lot more art and people doing that because they want to use their passion to fulfill, to make money. So I kind of was like, I don't think that that'll be a certain, you know, fixture in our minds in the future if we have this situation.
Yeah.
You'll want to enjoy life more and maybe still create for yourself, but not do it really to push out to others, because the need won't be there, right?
Right.
Maybe if people want it, they will, but.
Yeah.
So I kind of approached it like that, and he's the last guy that makes art with his hands. And a lot of people they all use digital tools and everything else now. So this guy's a painter. He's basically contemplating giving up all of his essence. So I kind of approached the future like, what would all these gen art companies look like in the future? That kind of came to one idea. They'll all be eaten by each other, and they'll become one entity that does everything really well. And I called it Mobius. I don't know how I came up with that. I think I was watching the movie from, I think it's like the comic movie from that character. But yeah, anyways, so there's this company. They basically record everything about your talent, your consciousness, and then they reproduce it and sell it. Similar to how the music industry sells catalogs now, right? So I kind of see that, some version of that being the future for what we're all doing.
Interesting.
Kind of like, you know, people selling Lauras and models now too. So that's kind of where it goes. And I don't want to tell any more because it gets very interesting, kind of how he has to deal with it and the decision he comes to and then what happens to him in the end. So I really hope everyone checks it out. It's a cool story. It's not like anything that you are seeing out there right now. It's got really, I brought everything I know about storytelling and filmmaking to bear on it. So there's all of these traditional filmmaking techniques, and you know, the script is written in a way that it's got foreshadowing and all this other things in it. And I really wanted to showcase that more because I want to see more people playing with scripts more and really developing out storylines more. And to do that, you're going to need longer films. So, you know, as like we get more tech, that'll become available. But having that ability to already be thinking that way, I think is a great start point for people.
So how can people keep tabs on your progress and be able to watch it and participate in the whole process once you release it?
Thank you for asking that. So I'm on Twitter, Dustin Hollywood. And then on Instagram, I'm Dustin Hollywood Photo, because, you know, pretty hard to change that after you're stuck with it. And then on YouTube, it's at Mammoth_Films. And so that's like the film kind of name I'm going to go under.
Awesome.
Oh, and there's one other thing I wanted to share if I can.
Yeah, tell us.
This morning, I confirmed with a business partner of mine that I do events, exhibitions for artists. We are starting today. We confirmed and approved it. We're going to put together a big art show for AI artists and traditional artists, filmmakers, and I want to try and get them all together to show their work, NFT artists. And the purpose of it is really to try and bring those two classes of artists together.
Absolutely.
To kind of talk and to feel each other out, because right now, you know, there's this huge apprehension from traditional artists about AI, and I really just want them to see how it's not scary and it's not replacing you. It's just a new tool, a new art form, and it's really about the user, what you do with it, you know? And the possibilities are endless. And honestly, I think that it's one of those things that it can't be understated being left behind, you know? And especially with this technology, because it can be very difficult to use, but it can also be very easy to use, you know? And you just got to dive in and get in there and start getting your hands dirty, you know? And that's the purpose of this art show. I really want to put really awesome artists doing all these types of art together and get them talking to each other, hopefully collaborating, thinking of different ways now, how getting their gears working, you know, of like, okay, now I see a lot more than I saw on the internet, and the perception I was getting was not, you know, what reality really is.
Yeah.
And, you know, just kind of understand what this technology is, you know, a lot more. That's kind of
awesome.
Kind of it.
Well, I would love to keep talking all day, but we have to wrap it up here. Are there any final thoughts or anything you want to say before we finish?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you guys for this. I also want to say thank you to Imagine AI Live. This is the first of many, and I'm so happy to be here and be a part of this. I want to do whatever I can to help this progress, and hopefully, you know, some of the things that I'm doing will help our industry progress and get more people involved and, you know, thinking. And all the artists and everyone I've met here, they've all been super amazing, and I feel like this community is better than any community I've ever been a part of, just because of the openness and just the imagination behind it, you know, and the willingness to kind of push the boundaries of like what we're capable of.
Yeah, this has been a great conference, and the people are definitely what's made it the best.
I would agree with that 100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're my shield.